Welcome to the Verse by Verse Bible Study. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like and to subscribe.
One of the things I've been thinking about, I'm going to try and there's going to be sometime here in the future, I'm going to give a class to my granddaughter's class, and we'll be talking on the Book of Job. And in that, what got me thinking about it, and I want to express it here also, is when you read the Bible or study the Bible, do it with curiosity. Read something and don't just say, "Oh, that's interesting." No, go, "Wow, how'd they do that? What's that going?" Think about read it with such curiosity that you will want to go on your own and find something about that. Go get a commentary, go look at this, go check that out. It sounds like a rabbit trail. It is. Because the Bible's all connected, and there's so many things in there, and it's just like, wow, this is so rich. If you not just go, "Oh, that was interesting," but just read into it and go find out what's going on. Anyway, so today we're talking about the chapter. Really, we're starting chapters 24 through 27. Today we're just going to do chapter 24. This whole area is called Isaiah's little apocalypse. Okay, so he's given a little short deal here on these chapters about the end times. Okay. Again, it's the same thing that Steve and Kevin and I face with every week. We're going from immediate destructions to later on destructions to end time destructions, and it kind of goes in and out. And it's hard sometimes to figure out where you're at and what he's talking about. But we'll try to keep that as straight as I can.
We're telling and foretelling.
Yeah,
I learned that last week.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on. Basically, since we've been talking about this, we've talked about one of the commentaries said 11. I got 12 different nations that he's given condemnations to and telling them what's going to happen at the end times, or what's going to happen immediately, and then again at the end times. And so we're now he's going to switch his discussion to not just a nation but the world. He's going, okay, in case I missed somebody, this is for the world, okay? And this is going to be, this chapter and these other chapters are really for the very end times, okay? We're talking about, when I say the end times, we're talking about, actually, key on this and be careful, the last 3.5 years of the tribulation, the end times. This is right before the millennium reign, okay? So it's something that, we won't see. Well, we will see it from the gallery of heaven. Okay, we'll be gone by then. We're gone before the first of the tribulation. We don't know when, but there's still a lot of things happening between now and tribulation. We'll be gone by then, but we'll see this stuff happening. And the whole idea is you read this, what's going to happen to people, and you go, I don't know. It's like we said last week. How much do you hate somebody and not let them know about this is coming? I mean, really, because this is some terrible, terrible stuff that's getting ready to happen in these chapters, and you need to you don't hide this information. Tell people what's going on, even if they don't want to hear it. It's just like, you're not supposed to yell fire unless it's a fire. It's a fire. I mean, it really is a fire coming in a lot of different ways, and so it's okay to yell it out. Isaiah had warned, the northern kingdom, Israel, that the Syrians would destroy them. They did. He warned Judah that Babylon would take them away captive. They did. But these are just local calamities, okay? Now he's getting ready to talk about the worldwide calamity, which is it during this last period of time. And he's going to be talking about the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is a day or a time period of tribulation or the last 3.5 years of tribulation. I'm not sure which. It's used all different ways within the scripture from what I can tell. Okay, because it could be the day that Christ sets his foot down, okay, at the end of tribulation when he destroys everything and everybody that's not a Christian, or it could be the whole time period of the tribulation is the day of the Lord. We won't be there. We're gone. That's a good thing. So when we talk about the day of the Lord throughout these scriptures, remember it's an exact or a period of 7 years. Okay, so when I talk about the refuge from the storm, got to figure out there it went. Okay. Well, I say the refuge from the storm because really what's happening is in chapter 24, which is today's lesson, we're going to talk about the Lord will judge enemies. We're going to talk about what he's judging the enemy. And then the next week, I think, is it You, Kevin, or Steve that has, Steve, it's gonna be, he's actually gonna cover. They give me one chapter and he's got three, so. He's a little better than I am, what can I say? It's gonna be, the Lord will preserve his people. Today he's gonna judge his enemies, then it'll preserve his people, and then restore his nation, the last two deals. So it's, it's gonna be terrible. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna make sure that my remnant survives, and then don't worry about it in the end, at the very end, through the millennium and then on into eternity. It's going to be, you're going to be restored. Okay. What he's trying to do is get ready for the millennial reign. And the reason for the millennial reign, from what I've read, is that he's got to show the Jews, the Israelites, his people, that everything he promised is true. Everything. So it's got to be through the tribulation and into the millennium, and then after that, actually the 75 days before it becomes eternity. Okay, so things happen during those time frames, and remember, Satan is always trying to make one thing not true. Because if one thing's not true, then God's not God, because he lied. He's just like Satan. And then Satan thinks, well, if that happens, then he can't punish me in the lake of fire forever, because he knows what's going to happen. Okay, so he's trying to do that one thing. Okay, let's look at okay. So somebody read verses 1 through 4 of chapter 24.
See, the Lord is going to lay waste the earth and devastate it. He will ruin its face and scatter its inhabitants. It will be the same for priest as for people, for the master as for his servant, for the mistress as for her servant, for seller as for buyer, for borrower as for lender, for debtor as for creditor. The earth will be completely laid waste and totally plundered. The Lord has spoken this word. The earth dries up and withers, the world languishes and withers, the heavens languish with the earth.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Somebody read Genesis 1, verse 2. And somebody else, Genesis 11, verse 9.
Now the darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. That's why it is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From what there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth.
And one more, I'll read it, but the last part of it. Acts 10:34, Peter was saying, in truth, I perceive that God shows no partiality. So there's a number of things going on here. One is the world is going to be devastated. I was at 1:2. It's going to be laid waste. It was without form at the beginning. It's going to go without form at the, while we're living in it, it's going to go pretty much destroyed. Whoops. And then it's going to go into the fact that he's scattered the people, he's confused them. So we're going to be destroyed and confused. Oh, that's what he did before. And not that he has the same thread going throughout the whole Bible, but he does, so that's what's going on here. So, and then when he's talking about all these, the maid like a mistress, the buyer like the seller. What he's saying there is, it doesn't matter who you are. Your power, your wealth, your position, your protection, your armies, nothing is going to keep you from this judgment. You can't escape it. It's going to be there. And
buy your way out.
You can't buy your way out. I love that. You can't buy your way out. And people with wealth and position are going to find out they have nothing, no power. They'll probably be standing there screaming. I can see them going, because they're mad about the fact that all they have is of no value. Okay. He's telling us that. Don't be worried about it. Now the good thing is, remember, we're watching this from heaven. So don't panic, but you don't want your friends to be a part of this going on. So somebody read verse 5 then.
The earth is so defiled under its inhabitants because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant.
Okay, so what did they do? They transgressed the laws. Well, which laws? Somebody read Genesis 3:17 and 19.
To Adam he said, because you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat from it.
Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return.
And then Romans 8:20-22.
For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time.
So basically what he's saying is, says, look, you messed up, you transgressed the laws, and it affected everything. The earth, the ground, the thistles, the thorns. Trust me, I know about thorns. When I go up to the farm and we do clean up the weeds along the edge of the fence, but it's the thorns that came about because of broke the laws or transgressed the laws. We didn't do the laws. So therefore, the ground itself, it's not just the ground, it's the rocks, the trees, the grass, the water. He talked to the storm. He said, okay, listen, molecules of water, stop. Boom, they stopped. Right? How do they do that? They know him. They know why would creation groan if it didn't know who he was? Come back, Lord. They're trying every molecule of that. So when I was teaching the third graders, I'd always tell them, says, you want to be smarter than a rock? There's a lot of PhDs that are not smarter than a rock. Rock knows who Christ is. Rock knows who God is. If you know that, you're smarter than a rock. And these kids go, whoa. We changed the ordinance. What ordinances? Somebody read Numbers 35:33. We changed the ordinances.
Do not pollute the land where you are. Bloodshed pollutes the land, and the atonement cannot be made for the land on which blood has been shed, except by the blood of the one who shed it.
So how'd they pollute the land? With blood. You've polluted the land by killing people. And oh, by the way, the only way to atone for that is by the guy that did it. Now, Jesus did it for all of our sins. So then the other thing is we've broken an everlasting covenant. This one's interesting. What is the everlasting covenant? All those other things, basically we had sinned. Here's all the covenants. Yeah. It's interesting because I thought I knew a lot about covenants, but I started looking through the commentaries on that, and there's not a total agreement on what the everlasting covenant is.
Which one of those is the everlasting one?
Here's the thing about it. One of them, a lot of them say it was a Noahic covenant. Yeah. Some of them say it's Abrahamic. Some of them say it's the new covenant. But if you broke a covenant, that it then has to be not unconditional. It has to be a conditional covenant. And I think some of these are unconditional. Anything that's an unconditional covenant, it doesn't matter what we do. That's not going to change what he said. Okay. Remember you remember how they did covenants?
What?
You remember how they did covenants? Took 7 animals, chopped them with two, put them on both sides, lit them on fire, and they walked through it. The unconditional ones, God walked through it, but we didn't. He's saying, I'm going to do this. I don't care what you guys do. I actually know what you're going to do, but you may not know, type deal. So let's go on. So somebody read verses 6-9.
Therefore, the curses devour the earth, and those who dwell in it are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. The new wine fails, the vine languishes, all the merry heart sigh. The mirth of the tambourine ceases, the noise of the jubilant ends, the joy of the harp ceases. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink is bitter to those who drink it.
Okay, so what he's saying here is it's going to be terrible. Okay, there's going to be nothing there. Now it's interesting because on the graphic I have here, this was a shot of the before, and this was the shot of after. This was when it was Canaan, and this is when the Israelites got there, and they've made it into a beautiful, lush place, and it will be a lush place. Oh, only now he's saying, at the day of the Lord, before before and during the tribulation, it's going to reverse over. So this is going to be before, and it's going to go back to the way it was. Okay, it's going to be desolate. There's going to be no one. There's going to be no one. Used to the harvest time. It's an agrarian society. The harvest time is when the harvest comes in. Everybody's happy. The grapes come in. The so and so came in. The grain came in. All this came in. Everybody's happy. We got food now. God bless us this year. We had rain. Of course, during the millennium, if they don't come and meet with Jesus in Zion, they don't get rain that year. Okay, so, but right now they're excited about rain, about the harvest coming. If there is no one to harvest it, and if it is a terrible time because of all these plagues that have been happening, a third of the world killed by a fire, by big mountain fire coming down, the blood turning, the seas turning to blood, the rivers turning to blood, all these different things happening. It's going to look more like, is that my next one? I'll do that in a minute. Okay, one more before you do that. Somebody read Revelation 6:8.
I looked, and therefore before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind it. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth.
And then chapter 9, verse 15.
And the four angels who had been kept ready for this very hour, and day and month and year, were released to kill a third of mankind.
So what happened is they went from this nice lush area, and all this stuff happened. There's going to be no one there to till, no one to take care of things, and then we're going to get to what? A destroyed world. We're talking about the last 3.5 years of millennium. This is what's going on. This is the people that have to live into this period. That's what it's going to look like. It's not going to be pretty like this out here. There's your power seat of the world right now. Is going to be just, it's going to be nothing. Right? You can't run for Congress. There won't be a Congress. Things won't be going on like, this is going to be, you think we have a terrible time now, we get upset about, you see the picture of Gaza, you go, how terrible can that be? Nothing. Really.
That's everywhere.
That's everywhere. That's not just those 2 million, it's the 700 or 7 billion, 8 billion people we have will be experiencing that.
It's kind of like when Hiroshima was leveled to the ground.
Yeah.
Nothing left.
But everywhere, not just Hiroshima.
Yeah.
That's a very localized deal. So yeah, the thing is, it's going to be really, and then somebody read 12 and 10 through 12 real quick.
The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut so that none may go in. There is a cry for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. In the city, desolation is left, and the gate is stricken with destruction.
How uneasy you are. You're confused. It says right there, you'd be confusion. He's got all this planned because he's trying to get people's attention. He's tried for all these years, and then when the last Christian that's ever going to survive before the rapture is born and he professes Christ, then it's time. He said, and it's what's interesting, he built these 4 angels just for this time. He went through the deal for this hour, this day, this month, this year. He knew exactly when it's going to be. No one knows. I think Christ knows now that he's in heaven, but he didn't know down on earth. God knows, because he knows when he created the last one. You have to know when you're going to create the last one, because you can't say, well, this baby, these 5,000 babies born today, these 2 are going to be Christians. Only God knows that. He knows which one he chose. We don't know. That's how you can't tell the time, because you have to know that, and you have to know when they're going to get there and how they're going to get there and when they're going to live. There's a lot of moving targets that God has to take care of in this deal. I think he can, but it's the same. When you think of the magnitude, he says, pray big, think big also. Think big about what's going on. This is really, I say it, it's the thread going all the way through. It's everything. Our whole life should be centered around what we do here, what we say, what we think, what we read, what we look at. who we talk to, what we talk about, all that is totally about Jesus. It's not about us.
He's always known.
Yeah, he's always, well, he knew before the foundations were created,
He still created us.
and yet he still did.
But you
And
know,
yet he chose you.
you look at those pictures and you should think of that when you're thinking about that person, that one person you're praying for,
Yeah.
because that's what they're gonna go through.
If they don't, I mean, they may, if God has chosen them and they're going to become a Christian, but they don't become a Christian for the rapture, they're going to experience this. Okay. I mean, they'll still be, if he's chosen, they're still going to get in heaven. Yes, you look confused.
Yes, but so if they don't die and or go to heaven in the rapture,
Right.
but during that period, they become a Christian and they die. Do
Mhm.
they go to heaven?
Well, yeah. If you become a Christian, you go to heaven. If you become a Christian during the tribulation
Right.
and don't die, you become one of the humanoids in the millennium. And of your child and of your generations, there will be people, 1,000 years. You have, I don't know, I think how many different generations, 33, 45, something like that, generations. In that time, the people from them will have got so much greater because we'll be there, but we don't regenerate because we're in our forever body, so we don't do all that stuff anymore. And the Jews will be there, but all their people will become because they're all Christians, they are then given a special dispensation. They're going to all stay Christian all through the generation. It's this group here that's going to explode out and become the majority of the people on earth. Because when he releases Satan at the last time, it says most people will look at this. We got him now. Satan's coming back. We got it. They've seen him. He's been Jesus has been on the throne this whole time. He sees all that. He knows they still, because of their derangement syndrome, they still are saying, we got to fight him. We got to get this alien off this earth. We got to take over the world again. And so the ones that survive it, the Christians that are alive that survive it, will be there, but their children may not accept it as they go on. Okay, so somebody read verse 13 then.
So will it be on the earth and among the nations as when an olive tree is beaten? Or as gleanings are left after the grape harvest?
It's an interesting little verse. What he's saying here is the gleaners come by and get the last olive and the last grape and all that kind of stuff. When God goes through his punishment, he ain't gonna miss anybody. I'm gonna hide in the closet. No, you can't do that. You can't get away from him. Not any single itty bitty one. That's what that verse is saying. Not anything or anybody will be able to miss this judgment. Okay?
There is no hide and seek.
There's no hide and seek. Yeah.
He's all seeing.
We've all seen kids when they go by you and they're going like this. I said, what are you doing this? I'm sneaking. You can't see me. I see you. No, you don't. When I sneak, you can't see me. And that's just a kid's thought about it. Our thought should be, there is no sneaking from God.
Yeah, in Revelations, it talks about them trying to hide in caves, and he finds them anyway.
We actually get to that verse here in a minute.
All right.
I'll let you read it. We actually do get to that one. Very good.
Shut up, man.
You guys that read the Bible ahead of me, you get it. Yeah. Okay, somebody read verses 14 through 16.
They raise their voices, they shout for joy. From the west, they proclaim the Lord's majesty. Therefore, in the east, to give glory to the Lord, exalt the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, in the islands of the sea. From the ends of the earth, we hear singing, glory to the righteous one. But I said, I waste away. Woe to me, the treacherous betray, the treachery and treacherous betray.
So who is this group? All of a sudden they're singing. I thought we were being destroyed. Who's this group? This is the remnant. All of a sudden he's talking about the remnant. He says, they're the only ones that are singing because of the harvest. They're being fed water taken care of by God during this time, probably at Petra. That I don't know if that's where most of the people think, or most of the commentators think that the remnant that ran away from Jerusalem when he said, remember when I yelled it? I didn't want to yell it again today, but I was like, she didn't fall over a chair this time. She nearly did last time, but the remnant now, he's thinking, this is all going on. They're praising God. They're safe. Okay. In the midst of the whole world. It's not just, we think of Israel and all that. It's the world. It's the guys in China. It's the guy, I remember seeing a cartoon one time. There's a Chinese lady speaking to the Chinese child and says, eat that. There's people starving in Kansas. And I've always thought, he was like, that's what my mom always said. There's starving kids in China. Eat that food. Okay. But then it comes down here and it says, but I say, this is now Isaiah talking, woe to me, alas for me, the treacherous deal treacherously, and the treacherous deal very treacherously. So he is woe to him because he sees this is going to happen, and he's saddened by the fact that he knows this is going to happen to his people. He says, whoa, not just to him, he's a part of the Israelites, he's a part of that, but he sees that and he's so sad. So that's why he's saying, woe is me on that. Somebody read 17, whoops, if I find it now. 17 through 18a, the first part, until it goes to stop at the word, it says for the windows. So 24, 17 to 18, the first part of it.
Terror and pit and snare await you, people of the earth. Whoever flees at the sound of terror will fall into a pit.
Keep going, one more.
Whoever climbs out of the pit will be caught in a snare.
Okay. So what he's saying is, he's giving an example, just like the futile attempt of an animal dropping into a pit or getting hit by a snare. You can't get, again, he's trying to emphasize, you cannot get away, because if you get out of the pit, the snare is going to get you. Okay. You can't get away. He keeps emphasizing over and over and over. The world is going to be punished during this last time. There's nothing new about it. You've already missed the rapture. You better accept Christ now. You're going to be a part of this. When you get saved during this time, you're most likely going to be beheaded anyway. I mean, times are going to be tough. And there are going to be very few that survive that and go into the millennium.
Because there's going to be a revolution against Christians. And
Well, when Satan gets kicked out of heaven at the middle of the millennium, middle of the tribulation, he's mad. Okay. So he says, I'm going to go, I've got to stop. I've got one more shot. I've got to kill the remnant so there won't be a remnant so that God can be a liar. So he goes after them.
Right.
And that's when they run, and then they run down through this river headed to Petra. He floods the river, and God opens up the earth and takes the water away, and the people get to Petra. Now he's really mad. So he says, I'm going to destroy everything. I'm going to destroy the whole world. I'll show you. Because he has nothing left. There's nothing left to do. So that's what's going on there. And then read, wait. Okay, here it is. Read Revelation 6, 15 through 17.
The kings of the earth, the principals, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in caves and among the rocks or the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of he who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it?
Yeah, they're saying, follow us, kill us, because this is terrible. I can't handle this anymore. Okay, and that's the great kings and everybody of the world. The last part of 18 is, for the windows above are open and the foundations of the earth shake. What's he saying there? So when did the heavens open?
During the flood.
During the flood, yeah. Read Genesis 7:11.
In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened.
So what's going on? If you think about it, at that time the world was like some people call it Pangea. There was one body of land. Okay, because the guy said let there be land, and saying about the oceans and everything else. And originally there was probably a water canopy over the earth. So there's the water in the ground, the water in the air. Okay, but it was not rain clouds or anything like this. There's nothing there, and then a canopy of water over the outside. That's what, though, it knocked out the rays that hit your pituitary gland that lets you that stunts your growth. Okay, so back then they didn't have that, so they could live 967 years. Okay, that was the thing. But when God said, "Okay, now let this happen," then the water underneath the earth, that's inside between the mantle and the core, whatever it is, that water started coming out, and then the water from this canopy came down. Okay, both those waters combined flooded the whole earth. Okay, it also started the tectonic plates shifting. I don't know if you've ever heard of cold stuff. Cold stuff is where two tectonic plates hit, and it goes down like this, and this one's going down. When it gets to the core, okay, it should go right into the core and just keep melting into it. However, if it goes too fast, if that happens too fast, it can't be absorbed in the core, and it stacks up in what they call cold stuff. It's the cold stuff that hasn't got pushed in. And that happens if it happened less than 10,000 years ago. If it was millions and billions of years, like they say, the tectonic plates would have slid into each other. They didn't, because it just happened a few thousand years ago. Okay, but all this is going on. The foundations, the inside of the earth is moving around.
It's still moving.
It's still moving, not near as fast. They said at that time it was probably moving at a brisk walk, so about 3 or 4 miles an hour. So if he was on the ground, it was moving 3 or 4 miles an hour. So when it went fast, and when it hit things, it bumped. I mean, people probably bumped all around. It's probably
an earthquake.
Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff going on. Somebody read 19 and 20 real quick.
Violently broke, earth is split open, the earth is shaken exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall totter like a hut. Its transgression shall be heavy upon it, and it will fall and not rise again.
Okay, this is one of the first reasons, in case you missed it, what he's saying here is what will happen here is that the world's going to all shaken up, but the end, it's going to be the end forever right here. For its transgressions, this is why all this is happening. For its transgressions, it's heavy upon it, and it will fall, never to rise again. So he's saying that this end time, at the end of the tribulation, there will be no more evil. There's going to be some bad things happen, but there'll be no more evil creating those bad things happening, okay? And he's saying it's going to be the end of that. This is the first purpose of the tribulation. There's 3 purposes of the tribulation. I'm going to the other real fast. But the first purpose of tribulation is to say there's going to be no more evil. I'm going to end it at the Battle of Armageddon. That's when I'll end it. Okay. The second thing would be, second reason, the second purpose of it, that would be that there would be a great worldwide revival. And we're right towards the end. This is about the time when the Jews become supernaturally converted. It'll be also when the 144,000 will have been doing their stuff. The 2 witnesses have been doing their stuff. There's going to be a great revival upon the earth right before the end of the tribulation. There's going to be a giant battle against all the people doing that, of course, but there's going to be a big revival. And then the third reason for the tribulation is that he's going to break the power of the holy Israelites. What in the world does that mean? They've been lying, or they've been unaware of all the things the scripture had said to them, and they're not telling the people what's going on. God said, you guys are over with. Let me tell you what's going on. This is when he's going to then supernaturally bring them to himself. Okay? He's going to, so that's a third purpose of the tribulation has a reason for it. Not just God's mad, it's God's mad, but he wants to show his people. We're his family, his bride, but that's his people. He wants to show them. So when they get to this point, they understand. When they accept him, they understand. They really finally go, I got it. Okay. So then in verse 21, I'll read it real quick. It says, so it will happen in that day, the Lord will punish the hosts of the heaven on high and the kings of the earth on high. So this is the day that he strikes against the rebelling forces of Satan. Okay. It's going to not only affect the people on earth, but it's going to affect Satan and all the demons. And he's going to punish them and all the kings of the world. Okay. They're going to be punished there. In verse 22, it says, and they will be gathered, Satan and the demons will be gathered together like prisoners in the dungeon and will be confined in prison. They don't realize it is for 1,000 years. And after many days, they will be punished. The after many days probably means after the end of tribulation, okay, then there's a great white throne judgment. That's when they'll be punished. During it, I think it's 75 days or something. No, exactly how many days. Tribulation ends. The new world, the new earth, new heaven is taken away. In its recreation during that time will be the great white throne judgment. That's when these people will be punished. So, and Satan will be thrown in the lake of fire forever at that point. But anyway, this is for the 1,000 years. Then 23. We will get there. The end of the tribulation, the beginning of the millennium reign starts in verse 23. It says, then the moon will be ashamed and the sun abashed and the sun ashamed. For the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, and his glory will be before his elders. So this is the beginning. This verse 23 is talking about the beginning of the millennium. Okay. And again, this is the Old Testament saints, the believers before the rapture, the believers at the rapture, those killed during the tribulation, okay, and then those that survive and the Jews that survive, okay, all are going into the millennium period. And at that point, in the millennium, at the end of the millennium, when he's released, there's one more attempted battle, and when that battle comes about, that's when God will destroy everybody that's evil. Now they're dead, but now they've got to be judged. And when they get in line to be judged, and I just picture there's a throne out there in space someplace, and people are lined up pleading their case, and anybody in that line goes to the lake of fire, along with Satan. Takeaways we got there. Okay, the first one. He judges all of them and puts them where they belong, in the lake of fire. So we all want justice. We want to be satisfied. We want to be felt like the good guys win. Well, they do. And God's going to take care of that. Okay. He's going to take care of that. This is one of the promises he gave him. Okay. When the earth and heavens act like they did prior to the flood, then it's time for the new. How are they acting? Pretty much like today. They were doing things that, we think we've done everything new. Well, we've got new gadgets to get us there, but we're not doing anything new. Okay. And all the same terrible things they were doing before the flood, we're doing now. Okay. It's just this, that's when it's time. Okay. If you get to that point, there's no place to hide. You can't hide. You may think you can. You may think you can buy your way out of it, but you can't hide. You may tell a lie to say, it's not me doing it. Yeah, it is. And all the things that God promised will eventually become true. They're already true. So they eventually become visible to us. He's not showing it necessarily to us, but he's showing it to his people that everything I've ever said to you is true. Look, you can see it now. I'm going to give you a chance to see. I'll give you 1,000 years to see it. You'll be 1,000 years to see that even though Satan's not here, people are still doing the wrong thing. if Satan's not dealing with you and trying to deceive you, then you have no concern. You're already on his side. I think it was you that talked about somebody talked about if your name, if Satan doesn't get up at his conference room this morning and say, okay, let's see what we can do with, Kevin's on the board again. Look at his name there. Guys, we got to get on this guy. If you're not on that board, then he's not worried about you. If he's not worried about you, why is he not worried about you? Because you're on his side. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. That's what he's saying. Okay, so Satan's trying to make at least one of God's promises be wrong so that he can be called a liar, so that if he's a liar, then he's not God. And then he won't have to go to the lake of fire. And he's read the book too. He's read this. Yeah. They always say that the devils know who God is. They just don't want to follow him.
If they didn't know who he was, they wouldn't have fought him.
Well, that's true. It's just like when you talk about, I've always said, if somebody gets into an argument with you, if you're talking to somebody and they get into an argument with you, you can just say, thank you for agreeing with me. Because if they didn't agree with you, there's no reason to be mad and be arguing. If they agree with you and don't like it, that's why they're mad.
Yeah.
So you can always, that disarms people.